What's up guys, Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video. Today we're going to be covering some Invoked Mekk-Knight. I updated the profile for this recently, so you can click up there in the top right if you want to check out the profile. I've only made like 1 or 2 changes. They're very slight and minimal. I don't know if I'll keep them going forward, but everything else is pretty much the same. And I know you guys really like test hand videos, apart from duels and stuff, just to see how the deck operates and how I go through hands, you know, card by card, etc., etc. Helps people to learn the deck a little bit better. And yeah, I just enjoy filming these as well. So we'll go and get started, but I want to mention our sponsor, Imperium Duelist, real quick, which where this playmat is from, the Tour Guide 2-player cloth playmat. All the sleeves I'm using, their new formula of sleeves are out now. Come in this brand new box as well. So if you want to pick up some mats, dice, or sleeves from them, check them out down in the description below, and you can use that code WinterKills10 off to save 10% off your entire order. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first test hand. I'm gonna just shuffle the deck up here. Also, I'm experimenting playing Ibli in here. I'm currently just playing 1 copy in this build, but I might play maybe 2 going forward. I don't know about 3. I mean, there's definitely room for 3 because Ibli's a really nice card to have going first. If you don't see Alistair, because you can make, you know, Mekk-Knight plays reminiscent of pure Mekk-Knight, so you want to resolve Blue Sky turn 1, get that extra advantage, because drawing Blue Sky in this deck when going first isn't the best, because it's not as versatile when going first, I feel, as pure mech, so I feel like it suffers in that category a bit, unless it only suffers really if you don't see Alistair. But even when you do see Alistair, you don't see the light targets to go along with it. Things start to fall apart, which is why I'm still slightly more of a fan of pure Mekk-Knight, which I also have a pure Mekk-Knight deck profile that is out as well on the channel. If I remember, I will annotate that at the end or put it in a card in the top right of the video where you guys can click on that and check that out if you want to see which one you like better. So I'm going to put the deck up here in the top right and put the extra deck down here in the top left. If we go second, we'll just, you know, we'll have to say that our opponent at least has 1 card for us to work with. You know, that is just how it is with Mekk-Knights. We need columns to make, but 1 card minimum wherever it may be. So we'll draw our first hand here. Opening already. Look at that. It's the curse of the camera, boys. What do I always say? What do I always say? 2 desires. Oh, even better. The driver. Oh, we open the gamma. All right. But let's say we're going second, because we'll do a lot of these test hands going second. So potentially going first here during their play, we do have an opportunity to negate a monster effect by dropping these onto the field. And then these will both get banished during the end phase. I'll put these down here. And then drawing our next card for turn, which is a copy of Engage, which is really, really strong to have. I know some builds are kind of floating around playing the World Legacy Monstrosity with the what is it, the Wind Guard Dragon, World Chalice Guard Dragon, alongside of Idli or other level 9 targets. I just don't like. I feel like this deck can brick easy, just because of all the different engines and things in here, and a lot of the spell cards. But like, I just don't want to add 3 more Garnets to the deck just for VFD play, because I don't think it's necessary. I think it's kind of a win more condition. It's very cool and innovative. I do like it, but I just don't think it's for me at the moment. So I think we'll get started with the Engage, just so we can go and get our either Widow Anchor if we need it, because I'm also playing a 1 copy of Widow Anchor. I think in the profile I was just playing 3. I might have been playing, yeah, I was definitely playing the 3 Engage, the Hornet Drone, and I might have been playing an Eagle Booster, but I kind of like the Widow Anchor, because let's say here we needed quick access to some effect negation. We have the ability to search out a Widow Anchor for just, you know, a Forbidden Chalice, basically. But let's just say we don't need that right now. Let's just grab the Hornet Drones, because that card is really freaking good. I mean, even as it stands, we could go and grab the Widow Anchor still by using Kagari to add back Engage instead of Hornet Drones, and go grabbing that Widow Anchor. So let's play the Hornet Drones. Let's summon out our token, German token, by the way. Quick flex on y'all. No. So yeah, let's go ahead and go into Kagari. Activate Kagari's effect. Now, if we open up Alistair, hands down, I'd be adding back the Hornet Drones, but let's just go ahead and add back the Engage. then engage again for that Widow Anchor, just in case we say we might need it. Let's grab that. Building up the spells in our graveyard as well, because now we can activate Desires. I mean, we technically don't even have to activate Desires at this point. We could play the Purple Nightfall, get a card out of our deck, then play Desires. Play Purple Nightfall here. We'll banish it. I'll put this down here. Then we'll add a copy of Blue Sky, because assuming they do have one card on their field for us to work with, whatever column it may be in doesn't really matter. Let's just say we add Blue Sky because we want to get that search. We don't want to grab Indigo here when we could potentially get a body on board plus another search. So that's why we want to grab Blue Sky right there. And then let's say we've got to set our other spell card over here. So we'll summon out the Blue Sky. I'll summon him in attack position. It depends on the situation. I'll just put him in attack for now. Let's add Indigo. Let's get some of our good search targets out of the deck before we even go into any Desires plays. So now we can link these two into Morningstar. And this is a good follow-up here, because I don't think we're going to be doing much OTKing this turn anyways. So let's pitch the Indigo, since we've added that to our hands, to add the secrets. And now this is probably where I would desire to see if we can get lucky and draw into an Alistair per se. Because at worst, case right now, we have a couple negates. We have the Anchor, we have the secrets, play with Indigo and Grave set up already. So now let's flip up this Desires. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, that goes back in the top of the deck. Let's take a look at what we banished first. Banish both the engages. That's perfect, actually, because we have no use for engage anymore at this point. So that is probably very optimal. And we can't draw the other Desires off the Desires because we already drew them. And look at that, we drew into Alistair. That is perfect. Now, if we wanted to, we could Widow Anchor their monster and take it and put it on our side of the field, just to link away with, because at this point we might actually be able to make something happen here. But I'm just trying to think. We could link away our Morningstar, but I don't know if that's really 100% the best idea. So let's just start by normaling the Alistair and adding our Invocation. Of course, we want to do that. And then we'll just play Invocation, banishing this and the Blue Sky out of our grave, because we don't want to banish the Indigo. We want to keep that set up in our graveyard. Summon out the Invoked Mekk-Knight. This will activate in grave. We'll put that back to the deck, adding the Alistair back to our hand. Keep in mind, we do have a Purple Nightfall still coming back in the standby phase of the next turn. Shuffle that up a bit. Very little cards left in the deck at this point. And we still have Instant Fusion, Widow Anchor. So if anything happens to our Mekk-Knight next turn, we have a live Widow Anchor. So we can just set these and set that. We have these cards still in hand that we didn't need to use, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, that's a pretty... going second, we can't do that much damage. But like I said, we could have Widow Anchored and took their monster, possibly pushing for game if it had over, like, let's say 2,000 attack. We could just Widow Anchor, take that before we Fusion Summon, and then boost maybe our Mekk-Knight for extra damage and try to push for game that way. That's why I like Widow Anchor over Eagle Booster in this deck particularly, just because of that going second factor. I feel like the Widow Anchor could be more live, especially at the start of your turn. Like, we had the option there to search Engage, or off Engage. We had the option to search Widow Anchor instead of Hornet Drones, but luckily with the Kagari play, we were able to get both. So it's a little bit more versatile than just kind of relying on the effects of like a card like Eagle Booster, because I feel like that fits a little bit better in some strategies when your Link monster effects are really, really important. Granted, we could have had Eagle Booster for the Morningstar, but it's hindsight's 20/20. It just all depends. A lot of hypotheticals when you're doing Mekk-Knight stuff, just in general, in test hand videos as well. So that was a pretty good hand. It played that out pretty optimally. So yeah, let's go ahead and shuffle up and do another test hand. So the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and do another test hand. Let's go second again here and see what we draw into. A copy of Invocation, a copy of Widow Anchor. Ladies and gentlemen, the curse of the camera. Will we draw the Gamma though? Who knows? Instant Fusion, Ash Blossom, and Joy Spring. So as it stands, we do have one interruption for our opponent's play. So let's say we drop that Ash Blossom on them, that hit him with that forehead beam, and we draw the Daxter, the Invoker for turn. That's not too bad. So a couple ways we could play this out. Like I said, opening the Widow Anchor here is just way better than opening an Eagle Booster, because we have the opportunity, like if they have a problem monster, we can bait out a negation already with just this Widow Anchor, which is pretty solid if you ask me. So a couple things we could do here. We could Daxter for Invocation, link into Almirage, then Instant Fusion, or we could Instant Fusion for Thousand Eyes, then we could link into Linkuriboh, then normal Daxter the Invoker, or, you know, there's tons of different ways to do this. I think I'm going to start with the Daxter, and we're going to go ahead and grab another Invocation, the last copy of Invocation, because I'm only playing 2 copies of Invocation. I think 3 is just excessive, because there's nothing worse than drawing double Invocation with no way to search Daxter, and then you just have dead cards in your hand, and you're just preying on drawing a Terraforming, or your Field Spell, or your Invoker, which never seems to happen. That's just my luck, I guess. So we'll link into the Almirage here. We'll put him right there. Now at this point, Widow Anchor is live again, so if we wanted to negate something, we still have another chance to do so, because there are no monsters in our main monster zone. Let's say we drop the Widow Anchor. Let's say we negate a card on their side of the field. Keep it interesting. Now we will go for Instant Fusion. And Instant Fusion, we will summon out a copy of, where is it? Thousand Eyes Restrict. Say we use his effect. We take a monster they control. We'll just use this token. Say we take that. We could even put this here if we had a Mekk-Knight monster in our hand. We could create our own column here with just a monster we took off of Thousand Eyes Restrict. But at this point, I think it would be best just to link these two into a copy of... We could go into Lambda. We could go into Daxter, the Invoker of Madness, but I'm not playing Book of Law currently because I've decided that it's not 100% worth it, and it's just I'm trying to minimize the amount of one-ofs that I'm playing in the main deck. Right now it's just the 2 Sky Striker spells, Terraforming, and Succession. I feel like a lot of times your bricks can happen from some one-of spells, but I feel like here we'll just go into Lambda, and that, like, it's not terrible, because if when we fusion with this, this is in the graveyard, and if we did have a way to banish the Psychic right now from our field, we'd be able to search Gamma, and Gamma can still activate even if the driver's in the grave. So getting this to our graveyard doesn't hurt. That's why opening it sometimes doesn't hurt. Like if we open up a Purple Nightfall instead of this Invocation, we'd be in a really good spot. But let's play the Invocation, dump this driver to the graveyard, and we don't have a light, so we're going to have to banish a Dark Monster here. Yeah, we'll have to banish a Dark Monster along with Daxter. Or no, wait, we don't even... What am I even saying? What am I actually saying? We dumped our light monster to the grave. We banished our Daxter. I'm actually losing it. So we summon the Mekka here, and then we return the Invocation back to the deck, add back the Daxter. So now if we were to draw at any point or be able to search at any point our Gamma or whatever, it's still live because we have the driver in the graveyard, so long as we don't banish that in the near future. So we were able to clear 2 cards off of their field, potentially, or negate 2 cards, remove 1 via Thousand Eyes. We did hit them with an Ash Blossom, so now we're swinging for 17 and 25. We do have the ability to negate a monster or a spell next turn, but that's really about it. We're drawing Hornet Drones for a turn, which isn't bad either. Now, if we were playing Book of Law, we would have had to ditch either the Invocation or the Daxter to the graveyard to get Book of Law, and that really still doesn't secure us the game. The only thing that does for us next turn is give us the opportunity to, like, maybe change us out into a Caliga or a Ragin. Which, again, it's just personal preference. Whatever you feel like is going to come up more. Like I said, I literally just cut the Book of Law before I started filming this video, so I don't know how many times it'll come up. I just didn't know what to cut exactly for it at this point. So I'm going to shuffle up again. We'll go ahead and do another test hand. I'm not going to pile shuffle this time because I don't want to spend too much time shuffling in this video. But let me go ahead and sort the extra deck and we'll get started. Also, one point I want to make, one thing I want to mention going forward is that going second, I probably would side in the Shaddoll engine. These 6 cards right here, probably side out the engages. and because that's 5 cards, and then maybe side out like a Mekk-Knight monster or something, and put all of these cards in, because I love the Shaddoll engine. I love the fact that you can go into Construct. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. I love the fact that you can get some pluses off of Beast and Trick Clown, but I think it's just too risky to be able to put it in your main deck and then have it really brick if you do have to go first. So I'm currently opting to side it at this point. I mean, my side deck as it stands is triple Judgment, triple Evenly Matched, triple Super Poly, triple Twin Twister, and then 3 Super Poly targets, Mud Dragon, Violet Chimera, because you can use your own Salamangreat Almirage as a target for it, and Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. But like I said, I might opt to side in a Shaddoll engine at some point going second. There's definitely room for it. So let's go and draw in, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go second again, and look at that, it's live, so not too big of a deal. We negate a monster effect, these gets banished, and we draw for turn. We have this is a really good hand, really solid hand going first here, or second. I'm going to start with the Terraforming. Terraforming is going to go grab our Magical Meltdown. We'll play the Magical Meltdown over here. Magical Meltdown is going to melt on down and grab us Daxter the Invoker. Alright, so now from here, let's go ahead and drop the Instant Fusion for a Thousand Eyes Restrict. So I'm trying to set up the engage right now is really what I'm trying to do. And did I just put the Instant Fusion back in the extra deck? I did. I'm trying to set up the engage, because if we can get that extra draw here, we'll be really good. Like, it won't hurt to get that extra draw and try to push for that extra draw. We already have 1 spell engraved, but I don't think we'll probably get to it. I mean, maybe we can if we resolve another engage off the Kagari play. But let's say we Instant Fusion. Actually, yeah, let's say we Instant Fusion. Let's say we go for Thousand Eyes, and we take one of their monsters, and we just absorb it like that. And then from here, we can special summon Purple Nightfall, banish that to grab Blue Sky, and then we can grab, yeah, we can grab Blue Sky here, because we just made our own column, regardless of what they had. So we stole a monster of theirs. Now we can link these, well, just the Thousand Eyes, rather, into a copy of Link Kuriboh, whatever you want to call them. Now we'll activate Engage. We'll go grab Hornet Drones. Let's see here. Grab Hornet Drones. That's not Hornet Drones. That is Owido Enkiel. So we go like that. Now we have 3 spells engraved, but I don't think we'll actually be able to pull it off. I'm not a striker player, unfortunately. We'll play the Hornet Drones here. We'll go into the token. We'll link the token right into Kagari. And then we can link into the Lambda too. So technically we don't have to use the Purple Nightfall yet, because we could potentially get an end phase search of the Gamma, but our Gamma is banished with the driver. So never mind what I just said there. So Kagari will come back and add back the Engage. Then we'll link these 2 into a copy of Lambda still. I mean, we could go into Daxter the Invoker, or Invoker of Madness, because we do meet the requirements for that, so we could do that. And now we can engage for that Widow Anchor and draw an additional card off of that. Hopefully we don't draw Engage here. I mean, ideally, in a striker deck, you'd want to draw Engage, but right here, we don't really want to draw Engage. I mean, if I even thought about going up to a 3rd extra striker spell alongside the Engage, it wouldn't be terrible. I guess I'd probably play Afterburner or Eagle Booster, as some of the other, splashable ones. But let's draw, and we draw into Indigo Eclipse, and our anchor is live to be able to steal something. So let's say we steal something, we'll put their monster right there. I'll just use the token as an example, in a little example piece or something, and then we'll normal summon our Daxter to go grab a copy of Invocation. Where is that? Let's see, there it is. Camera battery's gonna die here soon, so I gotta keep looking up at the camera because I don't want to miss this play and this turn, because it's pretty good so far. Anyways, pretty good so far. Let's set this here. Let's say our opponent has 1 card for us to work with, and let's say it's right here in the middle column, even though we've technically taken 2 of their cards. Let's say we still have something for them to, or for us to work with. Let's grab the Red Moon off of the Blue Sky here, and now we do have room to cook with a Boral Sword, but let's not go so far as to do that just yet. I mean, we could. We don't have any lights engraved, which we don't technically need because we have everything we need on the field right now. But I'm trying to think, maybe there's a link play we can make first. Because I mean, ideally, Invoker of Madness isn't going to do us too much right now other than search a potential another copy of Invocation. This is why I kind of like Book of Law, because sometimes I feel like this card loses a bit of purpose when you don't have Book of Law to search off of it. But then again, I don't know. There's a lot of room to do things here. I mean, maybe we can just link into... I don't even know. What would it be? The BLS link. So let's fusion first, actually. Let's fusion. Let's banish both of these and go into Mekka. Let's see if we want to use the effect of the Daxter, the Invoker of Madness here. I'd probably pass on using that effect just for the... Oh, let's summon this over here also. That's kind of important. And then we'll use Invocation to put itself back in the deck. Add back Daxter. Just like that. Shuffle the deck. Now, one thing also is that if we still had another way to drop a Mekk-Knight on the board, we could make the BLS link potentially. So perhaps instead of adding, or before we summon the blue sky, we could potentially summon this, move it over, then drop the blue sky, because we added Red Moon off of the blue sky, and we drew the indigo off the engage. So technically this can still be on our field, and technically we could discard this to grab a second invocation. You know what? Let's just do that. Let's just go all out right here. This is probably a bit of an overextension, but if you have a game, then you have game. There's really not much else you need to say or do. So I'd probably link this and their monster away for a copy of the BLS link. Because we're just going to start putting on huge amounts of damage. Or we could go for Boral Sword. I think Boral Sword makes a bit more sense actually here. Let's go for Boral Sword, and then let's drop the other invocation, dump that to the graveyard, and banish a Purgatrio, or banish the Kagari for Purgatrio. And now we're really just going for game. We have no monsters in our hand to use with the Mekka, but this is just like... I wanted to do this just to show you like the max extent. I think it probably would have been best just to maybe end on maybe make Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar first instead of making the Daxter Invoker of Madness, because I feel like we probably could have done that and gone for the Indigo play. But this is just sort of like all out OTK field, not being as conservative. So there's a couple different ways we could have played that out there. So yeah, let's shuffle up and go into another test hand. All right, so I've shuffled up real fast, and this is probably also going to be the last test hand of the video because I don't want this video to go too long. I like to keep this video in between like 20 and 30 minutes if possible, but going slower does help a little bit to be a bit more thorough with plays and stuff and not make many mistakes if possible. So let's see if we can draw the driver here for what, like the 4th time. Let's see: Magical Meltdown, Widow Anchor, Instant Fusion, Pot of Desires, and Succession. So going first, we could make a play happen here. Let's see, do we want to go? Yeah, let's go first. Let's mix it up and go first here for the last test hand. Let's mix it up a bit. Let's start with the Magical Meltdown. Again, we open that Widow Anchor, which is pretty clutch here because we have a live negate. Well, not technically live, but if we were going second, it would be totally live, believe me. Yeah. So let's cut the deck there, and let's normal summon the Daxter now to add invocation. We do have the Desires in our hand, so I do want to deck thin as much as possible and get some of the valuable goods out of the deck before we do anything extravagant. So yeah, let's link this into Almirage just to get that into our graveyard. That right there. Now we'll activate the Desires, and let's pray to Yugi Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Let's see what we banished first. Are you the type of guy that looks at his banished pile first, or do you check the cards you drew first? Are you greedy, or are you conservative? Alright, we banished our entire Psy-Frame engine, which isn't too bad. 2 copies of Ash are gone, another instant fusion, the Ibli, and some Mekk-Knight. So it's not terrible. We're not going to lose off of that. I mean, at the end of the day, oh, and especially when we pick up Alistair and Purple Nightfall, it does get a little bit better. I would say so myself. So, at the end of the day, Lambda does have that spicy effect where it can grab you a Psy-Frame card, but it's also just a generic link too also, so that's one other thing to keep in mind. So yeah, let's start by setting this here, special summoning the Purple Nightfall, using his effect to banish himself to grab another Mekk-Knight. We'll grab Indigo Eclipse. We didn't banish our copy of World Legacy Secrets either because that is still in the deck, which is nice. One thing I also dropped from the main deck, speaking of traps, is Impermanence. Just because I feel like hand traps can clog a lot, especially when we're playing like 9 copies of hand traps. So I think cutting those out helps a bit, at least in some way. I could be wrong. What do we want to do now? I'm trying to think if there's a way we can get into. I mean, we definitely can get into Morningstar, which I think we will. So we'll have to link these two, summon that. Put the Morningstar right there. We'll have to ditch Succession, which isn't terrible because we're getting ourselves a couple negates in the process. Succession is an extender that is not currently needed at the moment. Maybe a card that I could drop possibly for Book of Law, but then again, we would not have that discard target right now. So now we will play the Invocation that has been waiting patiently. Let's see. Well, that is rough because we don't have any other light targets to work with other than the one currently in our graveyard, which we don't want to get rid of. I mean, I guess what we could do is maybe instant fusion out for any monster really that's instant fusionable, and then link this away for like Lambda or whatever, and then make Mekka. I guess we could do that. So yeah, let's instant fusion. Not optimal here, but we do need a light target in our graveyard at the end of the day, regardless. I guess we could go for 1,000 Eyes, then link these off into a Lambda. 2+ monsters except tokens. And then we will use the Invocation here. We'll banish the Morningstar. We'll banish the Alistair. We'll summon out Mekka. Mekka being one of our best fusions to work with, of course. And then we'll add the Invocation back to the deck and add that Alistair back to our hand. So, a hand that we had to play out going first could have been obviously a lot more potent going second because we did draw cards like Widow Anchor and Instant Fusion. We could have gone for Blue Sky, but I wanted to mix up for this last hand and go second, or go first. And by being able to link into Lambda, we did have that extra light in our graveyard by getting that Morningstar to our grave, which is nice. So wherever they decide to summon a monster, we do have the ability to negate, then slide over wherever we need be. And then we also have the ability to negate a monster or a spell in hand and able to boost this up by 1,000. And we're drawing a Purple Nightfall for turn, and we also have a Purple Nightfall coming back in the standby phase. So yeah, that's going to be it for this test stand video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave me a like down in the spot where you leave a like. I don't even know what I was going to say there. Leave me a comment down in the comment section below on your thoughts on the build. If you have any suggestions you want to make or any critiques, feel free to also let me know about those. And yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, Winter Kill is signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.